Oh, it's another beautiful Sunday right here on the Sports Grid Network. It's time for Pro Baseball Today. It's your boy DRS along with Craig Mish. And did you know, Craig Mish, tomorrow is the month of June. Where did time go? Late March, April, May, into June, and away we go.
It is not early anymore, Donnie, as they say. We've reached that point in the season where teams are getting closer and closer to, I believe it is almost 65 games played, or, we're getting there. And so, June will happen and we'll get through it, and then we'll have the All-Star game. But I think it's fair to say that we kind of know a lot about the teams that we're looking at this season, and whether it's been good play or bad play, healthy teams, injured teams. Certainly, I think the season is off to a great start. I thought, the moral of the big story this season, Donnie, more than anything else, is that the new ABS system has been great. I think it's certainly helped the game a lot. There was some concern, I know, going into the year, but if you're still concerned now, then I don't think you like baseball, because there's nothing else to say. I think it's worked out well.
Get the call right. That's all we ask for here in a great show we have with a lot of topics which could creep into if we need a salary cap or a salary floor at this point in Major League Baseball. But we'll get to all of those topics and have some fun and more. Why? Because my Philadelphia Phillies are going to lead off right now. No, it's not Trey Turner hitting 220 leading off. It's Christopher Sanchez. Craig, what he's doing, historic. Finishes off a scoreless month. Why is that big? Joins Oral Hershiser in September of 1988 as the only two pitchers to go an entire calendar month without allowing a run since 1913. How about that?
Yeah, I guess this slipped by me a little bit, because when I saw some of the mentions for Oral Hershiser, I was like, wait a second, I remember that season that Hershiser did that. I mean, he was the most dominant pitcher in baseball in the mid to late 80s in the National League, and, certainly ended up having a great career moving on to Cleveland. But the bottom line is that Sanchez right now is pitching like the Cy Young Award winner. Yeah. He's pitching more dominant than anyone in baseball. I would also say, Donnie, this summer, I think we're going to be in for a race, because honestly, if Sanchez was to have a couple missteps, not that he will, but, Shohei Ohtani is right there, and Paul Skeens is right there. I mean, we are going to have this right down to the end. You may want to wait to place your bets on this, or maybe even take Ohtani or take somebody a little bit lower down the list, because this is as close a race I think we're going to have in a long time.
Jason Stark sent out a tweet midweek that said this, Craig. Take a moment to consider what we're watching. Longest scoreless innings streaks by left-handed pitching since 1900. That's 126 years. Carl Hubble telescope, 45 and a third innings pitched in 1933. Doc White, love that pitcher. 45 innings pitched, Craig, 1904. And then there's Christopher Sanchez, 44 and two-thirds innings pitched in 2026. And yes, still going at this point. It is nice. And also, Craig, understand this from a Phillies perspective. They stole this guy on the cheapest contract you're going to get for a Cy Young caliber pitcher. They were right to tear that up and give him an extension here to say, you know what? We got one over, but we're going to make it up to you. Because, Craig, as we know in baseball, hey, I don't like my contract. I'm going to hold out. They don't do that in the Major League Baseball union. So the Phillies actually met him and said, you're really good. We got a good contract. We're not going to pay you top of the market, but we're going to absolutely pay you at least what you deserve. That goes a long way for both the ownership group and also the player himself.
You said 1904. The name was Doc White, 45 innings pitched. Was that the same guy with the DeLorean that went back to 1985, yes. or was that Doc Brown?
How many gigawatts do they need? Yeah.
I mean, I think I remember that guy. It was Biff with the book, right? With the betting book. Anyway, so I mean, the other thing too that we do have to mention here that is sort of being brought up a little bit, Donnie, is that this is the first time that I think that we could look back in history and say the Tampa Bay Rays made an awful trade, like ever. Yes. Like usually the Rays are the team that's getting over. People forget that Christopher Sanchez was on Tampa Bay. They traded him, I believe, for Curtis Mead. Is that right, Sam, of the Nationals,
correct,
who's now on the Nationals now? I think that was the trade there. And I remember Mead playing with Tampa Bay thinking this guy is going to be good too. But look, it's been great for Philadelphia. Now they have, I would not say they've moved past the Wheeler, Nola, Cy era, because that's not true, because Wheeler is still pitching at a very high level. But there's no question that in the postseason, you think about it, the Phillies are now a pitching factory. They have Wheeler, they have Sanchez. They were able to just say farewell to Ranger Suarez, and maybe Andrew Painter comes along soon too. They're doing a great job there.
A lot of books out there have Christopher Sanchez now as the favorite to win the Cy Young. And certainly, as we know, with pitchers, it's every fifth day. Bad start, good start. Those numbers are going to change. But he's been nothing short of spectacular. And the Phillies have needed it here because some of those bats in the Philadelphia Phillies haven't really produced just yet. But the Phillies poking their nose above 500. And Christopher Sanchez, a big reason why. Now in Major League Baseball, Craig, sometimes you're like, boy, no hitter's too far in between because you don't want to go over 100 pitches, and I have a no-hitter in the 7th inning, but I'm at 101, so I'm not coming out for the 8th and 9th. How about those Astros here? A combined no-hitter versus the Rangers. Imai, 6 innings pitched. Okert, 1 innings pitched. 2 innings pitched for Lamber. Santa, how about that? Santa Claus coming in and dealing. First no-hitter, Craig, since 2024. Didn't have one in 2025.
Yeah, we had so many, I believe in 23 or 22, one of those years. I know we had a ton of them, and we didn't get a lot since then. Naturally, the reason why is a lot of pitchers are not completing games anymore. Of course, that's part of it. But even to get the combined no-hitter is really tough, too. Yeah. I think, the moral of this little story here, I think, Donnie, more than anything else, is that Imai, who did sign a pretty big contract with the Astros this offseason, has produced absolutely nothing for them. And so this is really the first time that you can say, all right, maybe this ends up working out. Personally, Donnie, I don't think it will. I think that this is going to end up looking like a bad signing. Houston's a bad team, and now they're stuck with a guy they probably wish they wouldn't have signed. But I digress. Imai, Okert, Santa, who I had never heard of before, is the second player in baseball history to pitch a no-hitter in his big league debut, which is pretty incredible. And look, if the Astros end up losing 90 games, Donnie, at least they'll have this at the end of the season to put on that video that they can show somebody. This, and I guess Yordan Alvarez, who's been fantastic this year. That's about it.
Yeah, but the Astros are like, oh, thank goodness the Los Angeles Angels are in our division because they'll probably be in last place. At least there's that. But you want to talk about some pressure, Craig. A lot of times you make your Major League Baseball debut. Okay, you're starting pitcher. Get out there, kid. Let's see if you can go 4 or 5 innings. Make sure we leave you on a high note. Or if you're coming up and just add it into the bullpen, hey, look, we're not going to put you into a high leverage situation. Maybe we're up 4 runs, down 4 runs, get an inning and just get used to it here. Santa comes in, Major League Baseball debut. Comes into a no-hitter. No pressure, kid.
Bumpus Jones of the Cincinnati Reds was the last player to pitch in a no-hitter. He threw one all himself. I didn't know that, but I believe that he is the great-great-grandfather of our very own Joe Ranieri. So that's how I got to know Bumpus Jones. No, I'm just kidding, but it could be. Maybe Kevin Walsh he could be related to, too. Kevin will be on with us a little bit later here on the show. Of course, it can't go one day without Kevin Walsh being on our show, so we got to have that. Or 1 hour, by the way, being on a show here. But I digress. Bumpus Jones of the Reds was the last one to do it. At least the Astros, Donnie, have something to be proud of this season. That's really the bottom line here. I don't think this is going to be a good year. I think probably when we get to the halfway point, we'll do a show. We'll pick 4 or 5 teams that are doing bad that we think could have better second halves, but I don't care. I will not be picking Houston. Too many injuries, too many issues. Yeah. They got old, and they're going to be looking to trade players. But Imai, guess what, Donnie? That guy's stuck in Houston. He ain't going anywhere.
Yes, he is. And by the way, sometimes those dynasties got to fall. It looks like Father Time catching up there with those Houston Astros. I got an interesting one that happened this week, Craig, because I like the team total for the St. Louis Cardinals. That went up in flames in this game, but there was other things that are interesting. Dustin May, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 9 strikeouts in that game. How about Dustin May, who took a no-hitter into the 8th inning? Hey, that's an easy win, isn't it? Craig didn't turn out too well, but hey, May had a good performance. Just couldn't close the door for the Cards.
Yeah, you know what? The Cardinals signed, Donnie, Dustin May for one purpose. That was to trade him in a couple of months, to get him good and trade him. And now all of a sudden the Cardinals are in a position where they may make the postseason. I don't know that they're going to be able to make this move, but they were hoping certainly just to revitalize Dustin May, who was a top prospect with the Dodgers for many years. I don't know, Donnie, get him 75, 80 innings, an ERA in the 4s, and then trade him for somebody who, the Cardinals would see play in a couple of years. But no, I don't know how they're going to be able to do that. They're going to be in a pickle if they keep winning like this.
They are going to be in a pickle, too, having 8 innings like that out of your pitcher and losing that ball game. Tarps off, weren't able to help. And also, on top of that, losing the game and a couple game losing streak. Tough business, Cardinals here. But we'll be back to Pro Baseball Today after this short break. Pro pro baseball today. Sometimes, Craig Mitch, you got to make a believer out of me because a lot of times you hear like, hey, man, that surgery was fantastic. They're going to be back on the field sooner than later. They told us that on Patrick Mahomes, like, yeah, good luck playing in September. Dude's already basically in full practice mode in the NFL for OTAs. Let's flip it over to Major League Baseball. Arm injury, arm surgery. Good luck with that one here. Tarek Skubal for USA Today Sports. Two-time Cy Young winner Tarek Skubal faced live hitters at Comerica for the first time since his May elbow surgery, a key step towards his return. We talked about it on those predictive markets as well. Back sooner than later. Let's hold off with this. He really might be back sooner than later, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably end up being totally wrong on this one if this is trending in this direction. And I guess maybe there is a procedure that Skubal underwent that some other players may have to explore in the future. Now, I want to be, caution with this because, Donnie, we don't know even if he comes back, if he's 100% healthy and if this procedure actually works, because I believe it's never been done for pitchers before. Instead of like doing the whole arthroscopic surgery, it's like a tube or something like that to remove those whatever they call loose bodies, etc. So without diving into the weeds medically, yes, it does appear instead of July that Skubal could be back in June. Also keep in mind that when we talked about those prediction markets, when he's back is going to be determined, Donnie, by a rehab assignment. So if they say he's coming back, that is going to be 2 or 3 starts. So as an example, if it was June 1st today, you probably would not be looking at him returning until the middle of June. So even with all of these good news, these pieces of good news, it still could end up being close to when we thought. We just have to stay tuned.
And, of course, we talk about it like the Dodgers. Okay, a couple players get injured. That's okay. You're in first place. Detroit's in last place. Double-digit games out of first place here. Sure, they want to get their pitcher back. And, yes, there's a lot of money on the line for Skubal. You got to thread that needle. But let's hear from the manager here, A.J. Hinch, talking about Skubal.
The velocity was really good. Stuff was good. Execution was okay. All things that he's going to challenge himself with as he gets back ramped up. But it was a really good day. It would be considered his start day. So that means a bullpen will be in the next couple of days, and then we'll have another start day where we'll increase some intensity and volume. Maybe not intensity. He's pretty intense as is, so we don't need to increase that. But it was a good day. Recovery is gonna really lead this, and then you give him a little bit more rope and a little bit more rope. So the hope is that you're going to build the ups and you're going to build the volume to a level that he can go out, and the next stressor would be competition. Now that's going to be a rehab assignment. I know everybody keeps asking me. I keep saying the same thing. He's going to pitch in a game somewhere other than the big leagues before he comes to the big leagues, and that will come when it can. If he needs more time, cool. If he's continuing to progress, we're paving the way for him. So he's doing a great job of being very diligent with his work and his communication with everything. So hats off to him and everybody that's working on that, because it's gone as well as we possibly could.
Framber Valdez and also Tarek Skubal supposed to be that 1-2 punch for the Detroit Tigers that you love to start the season. Framber Valdez not pitching well. Skubal hopefully coming back soon. Craig, optimism with the Detroit Tigers? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, they need him back. I did not realize until I saw earlier this week that Donnie, Jack Flaherty, who they brought back this offseason, is 0-7 with an ERA pushing 6. So if that doesn't tell the story of the Tigers, nothing else will. They have to have him back. They need him back fast to keep him in the race. I still think there's a chance that the Tigers trade Skubal. They're still several games under 500, no matter what way you look at it here. At the trade deadline, Donnie, I don't see them digging out from under 500. They're going to have to make a really big and tough decision. Ohtani was not traded. The Angels made a big mistake at that time. I don't think the Tigers will make that mistake. The only question is, as you look at the landscape, who would be willing to give up young prospects, Donnie, for a guy like this? Like, I don't see Milwaukee doing it, Like, I think that they make their money and their fans come to watch these young players. Like, they make these trades for Kyle Harrison. Would you trade a player with the future of Kyle Harrison for half a season of Skubal? Probably not. Donnie, would Cleveland do that in this? I don't think so. So I think it's limited in terms of the teams that he would go to. Not excluding the Dodgers. The Dodgers would probably be one of those teams where it'd be a good fit. But beyond that, I don't think he's got this huge canvas of 20 teams to make a deal with.
And it's very interesting, too, now at this point, because the Milwaukee Brewers did this, 20 years ago with CC Sabathia. Give up some prospects, get a guy who catapults us into the playoffs, and they actually put him in like their Wall of Fame, which is kind of crazy because he's only there half season. But then they didn't re-sign him. Do you want to do that again? And also understand this. If you do make the trade for Tarek Skubal, that is a ton of money from a guy that just got done having elbow surgery. That also weighs into the equation as well. And then a looming CBA muffles it even more at this point. It is what it is. A lot of hot topics, but they would love to have Skubal back sooner than later in Detroit. We'll be right back. More baseball coming up next. Pro Baseball Today right here on the SportsGrid Network on a glorious Sunday, one day away from the month of June. He's Craig Mish. I'm Donnie Rightside. We welcome in Grey Albright to the show today. Greg, welcome in. Great to have you on.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Great to see you here, Gray. As we get ready to close out this month, Gray. It's been an interesting season once again for fantasy baseball. Let's start off with the story of the month as far as pitching is concerned. It seems like the last healthy pitcher maybe in all of baseball. It's Christopher Sanchez, left-handed pitcher on the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't think anybody could have seen this kind of performance coming. What do you do, Gray, in a fantasy league with Christopher Sanchez at this point? Because I'm guessing that every league you have teams right now that are struggling to find any good starting pitching. I'm sure a team would love to take him off anybody's hands, but he's so good. How do you trade him?
It's been a crazy month for pitching in general, especially in the NL with Mazeroski, Sanchez, Ohtani, Chris Sale, Chase Burns, just incredible performances all around. Sanchez, if you would have told me that someone would possibly beat out Mazeroski for the best pitcher of May, I would have told you you're crazy considering the month he had. But Chris Sanchez, God, what an insane month. 44 and 2/3 scoreless, the first full month scoreless since Oral Hershiser. It's crazy. But for fantasy, it's kind of about what have you done for me lately? And even though Sanchez has done a lot for you lately, relying on a pitcher isn't always the smartest thing. So I really like Sanchez. I think he's actually got a serious shot of winning the NL Cy Young. I believe he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I really do. But the fact you're trusting a pitcher, right? So if you can get a great bat, like say if someone's like, oh, I really need a bat, so you trade him for someone like Bobby Witt Jr., I'm doing that all day long. If you're trading him for a top 10 hitter, yes, absolutely. If you're selling Sanchez as if you're selling him high, no, you're not selling him high. This is who he is. He is an excellent pitcher, and I really think this is his true talent level. So I love Sanchez. I would be holding if you need pitching, but if you need hitting, you do what you have to do. But I would absolutely want a top hitter if I was selling.
Yeah, Sanchez has been nothing short of spectacular this past month. Incredible stuff. We'll see how long that inning streak can continue for. Other hot pitchers who we thought would be this Major League Baseball season, getting paid and being healthy, that's Tarek Skubal. But the loose bodies caught up to him. But the injury moving along quite quickly here. So when do we take a look at Craig, him coming back? And also, how do you use him fantasy-wise this year?
It was I think it was like 15 years ago, the Major League Baseball doctors discovered suddenly loose body thing. Did Nolan Ryan ever have a loose body? I don't think so. I don't know. Everyone suddenly has loose bodies. I thought that was only in LA. No, I think Skubal is probably going to come back and be excellent because, like you mentioned, the contract year is on the line for Skubal. So I think he's got that motivation. Panaretti, this is like the quickest. He'll probably want to go out there and like maybe one rehab game and then get right back to the Tigers. This is a injury. And I believe it, though. I'm going to go with that track record and say he's going to come back from the surgery and he's going to be fine. If I could buy right now for Tariq Skubal in a season-long fantasy league, I would absolutely be buying. I think he's probably going to be a top 5 starter upon his return.
I'll tell you, you're right. Maybe it'll be 1 or 2. All right, so the Orioles, let's get to them real quick, Gray, because it's never been a question of their I thought that the Orioles would maybe move Basayo and get some starting pitching. One could play for another team, but they choose to just throw these 5 pitchers out there every day and get killed, Gray, and that's been the story of their season.
It sounds like you're reading Rasball, because for the lifetimes a week, every time Basayo does anything, legitimate starters. I mean, that's even pushing it, considering how Bradish looked in April and how Boz looked. But okay, we'll say you have 2 starters. Why wouldn't you trade Basayo or even Adelaide for a starter? I don't know what Elias is doing there in Baltimore. I would have been trading in March one of these guys. I mean, obviously you need an arm. Like right now, they're trudging out there Trevor Rogers, who, he looked great last year, but it's not last year anymore. Brandon Young isn't an answer. Chris Bassett, I mean, come on. This is like, I don't know what they're doing. They have their window to succeed is so short with their young players. This is the time they should be trading one of the catchers to get an arm and to move forward with that team. But I don't know what they're doing. Basayo looks great. If for fantasy, I actually like Basayo a little bit more, but he's in a little bit of a platoon, which hurts his overall value. Adelaide's been better this year than he was last. I don't mind Adelaide in a 1-catcher 12-team league, in a 2-catcher 15-team league. Both of them are obviously rostered. So, for fantasy, they're fine. But, in real baseball, God, trade one, please.
Let's keep it in the same region here, Gray, and take a look at those Washington Nationals. Got a lot of young talent on that roster. James Wood, at weighted runs created, plus they're 169. Look at Curtis Mead, 135, and C.J. Abrams at 161. Do we continue with the Nationals' hot streak here, or might be a good time to get out from under those Washington Nationals young guns?
It was about a month ago, I was on this program with you guys, and I believe Mish was the one talking up Curtis Mead, and I was a bit of a naysayer on him, but Mish was right. I mean, Mead really was a great prospect in the Rays system back like last year before, and he looks like he's blossomed into a solid hitter. I mean, Mead is now sitting in the 3-hole in the revamped Nationals lineup. Everyone is starting to come around. The only thing I'll say is, to be a little bit of a wet blanket, James Wood did basically this last year and then tailed off in the second half of the year. And he looked terrible last year in the second half. So, I mean, hopefully he doesn't do that again. But, I mean, as far as we know, that's all we have to go on. So James Wood did tail off last year. C.J. Abrams, we've never seen this over a full season. Dylan Cruz has had real problems. Dalen Lill I like. So there are some bright spots, but there's a little bit of reason to be concerned for sure. I do think they're solid, though, for, a young up-and-coming team.
Fantastic stuff from Grey Albright. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Sunday. Love to see. We'll be right back after this short.
We are over the moon excited about the upcoming season.
Let's go.
10,000 horsepower roars off the dock. Oh my, there's a problem. On the outside, side by side. Hopes and dreams of winning here.
Yes!
Get ready for round 1.
CraigCartonShow.com.
In your Sunday. How about that?
Yeah, how about it? I feel like I'm also my own man, so I like that.
All right, like living it up, New York City. Yeah, Craig, get him, sick him, Craig. Go ahead.
He's like he's like the franchise here at SportsGrid. You know, he's like the Wemby of SportsGrid. I'm waiting. You know, Kevin, you can catch tonight at midnight on bare knuckle fighting. You know, you'll see him tonight here as well. So Kevin, earlier in the week, we finally got our first indication as to what the collective bargaining agreement battle may look like here, and it doesn't look like we're headed toward a solution anytime soon, but I have a feeling every Sunday here on the show we'll be talking about it quite a bit. You know, I don't know. What did you gain out of it? I didn't gain all that much. I just kind of felt like one group took a shot, the other group took a shot too, just to kind of get the ball rolling here a little bit. There's going to be negativity no matter what they say. Even if they agreed, there would be negativity. It's just the way the world is. But I didn't feel like we're getting any closer to anything, but at least we understand what they're looking for.
Yeah, Craig, I think someone like you who knows kind of the parties involved will be able to get a better sense of the closeness of the deal. I'm just trying to react to the numbers as much as I can and see how it relates to the way the league is operating right now. And the Jesse Rogers tweet from a couple of days ago that referenced a $171.2 million floor, I believe half the league spends less than that. So it's very interesting to me. Like, we talk about a lot of people, I think, with the salary cap focus on the Dodgers side of things. I'm sure you guys here obviously go both sides of it all, but the fact that half the league, like the Rays, okay, we expect that, right? There's certain teams, 50% of the league is going to have to increase payroll. Like, that's a big story. That might lead to a big time evening of the deck because these teams have no choice now but to spend tens of millions of dollars annually to meet that floor, no?
Yeah, so go ahead, Donnie. I'll go after you. Go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, on that whole, like, front of that, you're right, because it's interesting that who came up with this number, the 172, where it's like, oh, Major League Baseball can afford that 172, it's apparently, but most teams don't spend it because we know the system is broken. But, Kevin, let me ask you this question also with how much these teams spend. And I always bring it back to the days of, let's just say, the Philadelphia Flyers before the salary cap. Ed Snyder owned the Flyers, passed away in recent years. He would always spend top five. So it's like, for the good of the game, it might be good to get a cap, but my Flyers spend money here. Now you take a look at Major League Baseball. Your Yankees, as I want to say, my Phillies, high payrolls here, which means we like this here. But for the good of the game, maybe it's not so good because it evens the playing field. You as a Yankees fan, your opinion on the salary cap.
It's funny because I wish this ruined who the Yankees were. I know they spend, but they don't spend at the top 1% level. They don't. And I've joked with people that the, awful New York Mets are more likely to get Tariq Skubal than the American League favorite New York Yankees coming up at the deadline or even the offseason, because that's seemingly how the Mets roll versus how the Yankees roll. So the Yankees piece of it is very odd. I would argue they are going to be more comfortable in this new likely world than most people would project. The Mets are nearly $100 million over that 245 ceiling that was referenced. The Yankees, while over it, nowhere near as much so. But maybe it puts a little bit more pressure on 2026 for a team like New York or the Dodgers hunting a three-peat, thinking this is the last time we can really blow this thing out of the water.
Yeah, and another part of this with the salary floor, remember, as part of the owners here, is the notion of creating a centralized TV model that everybody could share the wealth in, and that could be added to the pot that makes it easier to get to that floor, that $170 million, which does make sense. Naturally, if there is a salary cap, and I do believe there will be, I don't think that number that you saw is the final number. I think it's going to and I understand it from the Yankees perspective and from the Dodgers. This does not look like the final model, and there'll have to be some give and take. But anytime I hear that this does not work in other sports, it drives me crazy because it works very, very well in the other sports. Yeah. And to say some of the comments that, it creates animosity among players. I'm like, what are we even talking about here? So I've always been on the player side. I think it's a players league. They deserve Kevin to make the most. It is so broken here. I am just tired of seeing things like the Dodgers do. I think it will create.
I don't know if you guys do, because we're talking about a lot of teams that have to spend they have to almost double their payroll, and then again, like some of these teams I guess will sit at the floor, right? But at the end, be able to rise. And so yeah, I also just think that, like, listen, all three of us here covered other sports for this network. To your point, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, they all operate with salary caps. So I feel no reason to think the sky is falling for a league attempting to. It's actually kind of like when baseball put the pitch clock in, right? I remember doing radios, shows with Donnie at the time. He's like, it's the shot clock. Imagine if the NBA didn't have a shot clock. It'd be awful. And guess what? The pitch clock, as obviously
players on a team, 3 make those exorbitant number, on most rosters. It's going to be hard to convince that union when they come together. Like, wait, I make $1 million a year. I'm all of a sudden you might not make $1 million. We'll be more with that. Stay tuned. Donnie right side, Craig Mish right here with Kevin Walsh, talking some major to be hitting, and maybe they're going to fight and go toe-to-toe for the rest of the season with those Tampa Bay Rays. But I need a first impression. There's a pitcher on that Major League Baseball team. His name's Garrett Cole. We haven't seen him for a while. Comes back to Major League Baseball. Woo, he's looking like the old Garrett Cole we always knew, Kevin, versus the Royals. 6 2/3 innings pitched, doesn't allow a run, 10 Ks. That's Garrett Cole.
Yeah, it's always nice when the American League Cy Young favorite tweets out ace gif referring to a different pitcher on his team. The Yankees model is, I think, laid out. It sets them up to certainly have at least a very good regular season. I mean, you need Max Fried to get back healthy himself. I think health is the big question for this team, but Cam Schlittler is showing himself to be one of the best pitchers in the American League. Cole has that pedigree. Fried, similar. We'll see what Rodon is. But at that point now you're talking, Will Warren, you're talking arm 4, 5, 6 kind of here. So, yeah, I think the Garrett Cole piece of it is incredibly exciting.
Moving over to the National League, Kevin, one of the freakier stories of the year has been the Chicago Cubs. They win 10 games in a row a couple times, and they lose 10 games in a row. You rarely hear a manager like Craig Counsell, after they lost that 9th game or 10th, I forget which one it was earlier in the week, say, look, I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what's going on. We just have to sort of win here. Did you lose confidence in watching the Cubs lose as many games as they have in a row, or will you just chalk it up and say, you know what, it was an anomaly, they're probably a lot better than what they showed?
So the thing that stood out to me more than anything is before they snapped the streak, so they are on a 10-game losing streak, and if they were moved into the American League West, they'd have been in first place. Just insane. Just an odd year right now across baseball. But the streaky nature of it all, Craig, is I don't love it. I think at some point the best teams give you consistency, right? It's not just about ripping off 11 of 12, but it's, 5 of 6 series, you win 2 out of 3, right? And the Cubs haven't given us that. It is not a team that I was in love with entering this season. I thought they were fine. And, I think they've, in totality, been fine this year. They're when they popped off, I thought it was really exciting, and I thought it suggested they might actually be one of the 3 best teams in the National League, but they came back to reality so harshly that they become a far more difficult sell to me, at least now. I don't think I see them as one of the 5 best teams overall in baseball.
Lightning rod here in the National League is, of course, going to be those Los Angeles Dodgers. Humming along here. First place once again in the NL West. Damage pitching the start up here. A couple of their guys down. Shohei Ohtani's been fantastic on the mound, trying to get that hitting back into the equation. What are we feeling about here for you, Kevin, on the Los Angeles Dodgers? About what you thought here? Wait till the trade deadline. Eventually the cream's going to rise to the top. They'll roll everybody. But they currently sit here as one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. And looks like they're starting to pick it back up again.
So I actually think something with the Dodgers, when they signed Kyle Tucker, there were 2 camps. This is awful for baseball. And pretty much Dodger fans were like, no, leave us alone. What are you talking about? This is great. And one of the reasons why I said it was bad is I compared it to the Warriors. Because what the Warriors did was make everything irrelevant. Anyone who was trying to make regular season stuff with the Warriors matter was told they were being foolish. And we've had multiple moments this year with the Dodgers where I bring up things, and, you guys know I do the in-game live show with Gabe, and I love doing it. We're like, hey, Gabe, the Ohtani struggles are odd. Oh, it's May, right? Or, hey, Kyle Tucker's off to a slow start. Let's talk about it, right? Nobody is saying the Dodgers can't win a World Series. They're obviously favorites. They're incredibly dominant. They are the best team in Major League Baseball. No one is saying that, but my biggest takeaway is there are a lot of people who only want to have a conversation around the Dodgers if you're praising them. That's the only conversation they want to have. We know how great they are, but let's follow the road there. Can we actually talk about, again, and not just the good. There's a lot of great. There is a lot of great. Let's follow the path here for this team attempting to three-peat.
Now, before we get you out of here, I got one final question for you. Take a look at Kyle Schwarber versus Aaron Judge. Head-to-head right now, Schwarber 21 bombs, Judge 17 bombs. The favorite at a plus 105, at least on FanDuel, is for Schwarber to win this race over Judge. Who ends up the home run king in Major League Baseball?
Judge, because I'm pretty sure Schwarber had a red-hot month where he hit 250, and then Judge is having a nightmare season, hitting 250 for the season. It'll be Judge when it's all said and done.
Schwarber doesn't even start until June. Buxton for Craig, Schwarber for me. June tomorrow. Hey, Kevin Walsh, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again.
Buxton and Trout rounded out my outfield. Now we're talking.
Fun in the prediction markets. It's your boy Donnie Wrights out along with Craig Mish here, and we was talked about some great pitchers here in hour number one, and why not crown one of these guys champions of the month of May? How about this on the Kalshi Marketplace, Craig? NL Pitcher of the Month for May. Jacob Mizorowski, a 29% chance to be the Pitcher of the Month. Mason Miller, Paul Skeens, Robbie Ray, Yamamoto, Imanaga, Ohtani. You know what I'm not seeing on this list right now, Craig? A guy that hasn't allowed a single earned run in the month. Is he too good for this list? That's Christopher Sanchez. So let me ask you this question. Since they don't include him right now in Kalshi, I'm going to ask you, Craig. Mizorowski and or Sanchez, Pitcher of the Month in the National League for the month
It's not
of
even close. It's got to be Sanchez. They probably just can't make it available. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. It's got to be at 100%. Yeah, I mean, come on. He's had one of the best months of the history of baseball, Donnie. So I don't know. Something must be missing from Kalshi here because Sanchez didn't give up a single run. Come on. It's easy.
Now, is this one of those things that, Craig, when you take a look at the sports books, it's like, hey, look, Tiger Woods or Scotty Scheffler, remove them from the equation. Who can win this tournament if they're not there? Maybe they're doing the same thing here with Christopher Sanchez because Mizorowski's right behind them. But if you haven't allowed a single run in a month, you got to be the NL Pitcher of the Month. We'll see how that one turns out. But always interesting times here on these marketplaces, which also includes the AL Player of the Month in the month of May. And you take a look and say, okay, who are these guys going to be? Cody Bellinger used to be in the NL, but that was with the New York Yankees. 33% chance, Craig, to get that done. Nick Kurtz out there in Sacramento for the Athletics. He's at a 22% chance. And then you find Bobby Witt Jr., 15% for those sluggish Kansas City Royals, followed by Rice, Langoliers, and Yordan Alvarez here. But Bellinger, the leader right now in chance, but also understand this, Craig, how these markets work. The yes contract is 33 cents on Bellinger, the identical number for Nick Kurtz for the Athletics.
Yeah, it's funny that Sam, our producer, texted me something that I was just about to scream before you even said it was, wait a second here. How is Alvarez not the player of the month in the American League? The guy is on the absolute heater. Earlier this week, if I'm not mistaken, when he played against the Texas Rangers, he single-handedly gave them the series. In fact, I believe there was a 3-0 pitch thrown to him that all they needed to do was just throw a ball. They threw it right over the plate and he hit a home run. You cannot throw this guy a strike right now. So that's a little bit of a stunner here. Now, I understand that Schwarber, if I'm not mistaken, has more, or earlier this week had more overall home runs when the month was coming to an end. But to me, Alvarez would be the guy that I would be looking at here in the AL.
Yeah, pretty impressive run there. Again, Belly's up top at this point right now. We'll see where that changes. Only a couple days left. Technically, tomorrow would be the month of June, and we'll see how that one goes off here. But let's also keep it in the predictive markets here. The NL Central Championship here. Who's going to win that? Well, you take a look, and it's no surprise. You know the best record in Major League Baseball last year, Craig? Yeah, Milwaukee Brewers. Who's in first place there? The Milwaukee Brewers. So the Brewers on Polymarket, a 53% chance to win that division, followed by the Cubs at 24%, then the Pirates at 11%, the Cardinals at 4%, and the Reds at 3% here. Every team in this division above 500, but the Brewers once again in first place, Craig. Do we think that holds for the summer?
Yeah, if you sold on the Cubs, you made some good money here on Polymarket because the Cubs, a few weeks ago, Donnie, we were talking about them, and they were just so far ahead of everybody else. Now they've fallen back here. So, look, I invested in the Reds earlier in the season, saying that was sort of my pick, and I know that they have dropped down too, so that investment has not made it worthwhile. But I still believe that there's a chance for them in the end. You look at run differential, that's not really where they stack up the best. The Brewers would be the best in that category, but it's a tough division to call. My sell is still on St. Louis. My buy would be on Milwaukee and Cincinnati.
And also, as Craig points out there, if you go back to May 11th on that sliding scale, you see that little dip in the market. They were at 60% to win the division on that date. Fast forward a couple weeks, down to 24% in the marketplace. So maybe you didn't want to buy high on the Cubs. Now you might want to buy a little bit lower on the Cubs. Can they get a win streak together? Just like the stock market trading here. Day to day, these numbers certainly will change. 2026 AL Central champion here. We've already talked about it, Craig. Those Cleveland Guardians, new ownership group, or person, I should say, in Travis Kelce. He's involved, but how about this? A 62% chance on Polymarket, Craig, for those Cleveland Guardians to win that division, followed closely but the Twins, White Sox, and Royals all jumped up together, but the Guardians leading the way by a long stretch. And how about it? The Detroit Tigers, 6%, Craig. Who would have thought that when we started this Major League Baseball season? Woo.
Yeah, that is the problem here, is that if you're not looking toward Cleveland, you would look toward Detroit. But I think at this point in the season, when you're under 500 by 10 or more games, it's really hard to see any path. So the potential buy is on the White Sox, but I think we're probably, Donnie, in agreement that at some point, even a good season is like a 500 season for them. And I'm not buying the Twins at all. I mean, I think the Twins are going to go the other way in the second half of the season completely. I don't like them. So, I mean, this is like a non-investment for me. I see Cleveland probably just rolling in this division, and I did not see that at the beginning of the year. A great news is that the White Sox appear to be a team that could be somewhat competitive. But if Detroit was to decide, Donnie, to punt this season, and we're not there yet, but if they decide to do that, are we talking about 100 losses for the Tigers here? They're on pace to lose 100.
It's unbelievable. One of those teams you thought was going to be turning the corner and being one of the thorns in the side of teams in the American League once they got to the playoffs because of their 1-2 punch here. More volume is on the Detroit Tigers than any other team at the division, but a lot of that came at the beginning of the season. If you think they can rebound, then again, it's a stock market. They don't have to win the division, just get a little bit closer. Maybe they can, but it's just odd to see them at 6% here in basically the month of June. Never thought that would have happened here. 2026 AL East champion. You know who's running away with it here, Craig? That's the New York Yankees. Why? Because nobody respects those Tampa Bay Rays, who actually had a 31% chance to win this division, 2% for the Jays, 2% for the O's, and the team I liked a lot to start the season, Craig, 1% on Polymarket. That's the Boston Red Sox.
Boston's cooked. So Boston is out for me. Baltimore is out for me, even though they did a good job against Tampa Bay this week. And, you know, Tampa took a hit, but I wouldn't be as concerned with the Rays having a bad week because, Donnie, everybody has a bad week. 2 weeks ago, the Yankees couldn't win a game too. So it's either New York or Tampa Bay for me. Like I said, I saw Toronto. I'm not really all that impressed with them. They did add some nice pieces to the back of the bullpen, but I think they're going to need a little bit more. I think the division is probably the Yankees, but I'm not going to give up on Tampa Bay at all.
Yeah, get it while it's hot at this point right now. If you go back to May 23rd, Craig, at 8 p.m., which isn't too long ago, the New York Yankees were at 45% as a chance. A couple days, a couple win streaks here, and a losing streak by the Rays. What do you get out of that? 66% here as we sit. Now, let's get to some of those markets that we absolutely love. The home run leaders, Craig, in Major League Baseball. Who is going to finish as the home run king? Leader right now, it's Kyle Schwarber at 39%, followed by Aaron Judge at 28%. Murakami, Alvarez, Caminero, and Wood behind them. By the way, Caminero and Wood, 1% apiece. Kyle Schwarber, a little bit of a stomach ache here, missed a few games, but still sits atop here of the home run leaderboard for people that think he's going to get the job done.
Yeah, so I don't think it will be Aaron Judge. It doesn't seem like Judge has that same zest that he had a year ago, but that's not to say that he still can't be up there. The guy that's interesting for me when I look at just the Polymarket trends here is why is Byron Buxton not even in this conversation? He's having a career year. And Donnie, the other thing with Buxton is he's a leadoff hitter here. So he's going to get the most plate appearances maybe of any of the players that we're talking about here. So I would, maybe invest a little bit there, maybe for him not necessarily to win. But again, you can get out on these at any particular time. Going into the weekend, just a couple of home runs off the leader. Alvarez, is the hottest one of all of these guys. But, guys go hot and cold. And who knows if they trade players, will they even pitch to him, Donnie, in the second half? Probably not. But Buxton every day, batting first for the Twins. He's going to get the most plate appearances. Who knows? Maybe it's him this year.
Yeah, this market is on Polymarket here, and it doesn't even have Buxton even listed. I mean, you got guys like Ben Rice is on there, George Springer's on there, Pete Alonso, Manny Machado, who's hitting like $170 is on here listed. Hell, even Rafael Devers at 1%, one of the hardest places to hit home runs where, he's not hitting any home runs for any volume out there. But Kyle Schwarber in Philadelphia, heat up, kid. We're going to be in the month of June. That's a Schwarber month right there, people. Remember that. We'll be back. More Major League Baseball talk on Pro Baseball Today coming up next.
Now we have to endure months of manufactured rumors about will he or won't he retire LeBron James. They are probably, Donnie, working on the Decision 2.0 for Amazon Prime as we speak. Is Jim Gray still around? But here is the beauty of the predictive markets. They make insufferable stories about insufferable people highly profitable.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Mattingly is doing a great job, clearly, right? They're 16-4 since he took over, but we have to remember when Rob Thompson took over for the Phillies and they went 65-46 back in 2022, he finished 5th in NL Manager of the Year that year. So could Mattingly win it? Of course, but he doesn't really have history on his side. I'm still on Don Kelly 15-1 to win Manager of the Year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Craig. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Into the markets we go. Pro Baseball Today on a Sunday. Tomorrow is June, but it's never too early to look, Craig, here at who might be winning some of these awards in Major League Baseball. Let's take a look at the 2026 NL Cy Young Award-winning market here. Christopher Sanchez at a 30% clip here right now on Polymarket. Second place, of course, it's going to be Jacob Mizorowski at 21%, Paul Skeens at 19%, and there's Shohei Ohtani at 17%. Tight race up top, a lot of good pitchers, and you can't even leave out Chris Sale as well, trading at 8% right now, Craig. But Sanchez, through that filthy month, he's the leader in the clubhouse right now in the prediction markets.
Yeah, can't leave out Sale. He had another good start earlier this week against the Boston Red Sox when he returned home to play them. So I'm going to throw this one back to you, Donnie. So look, I think Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, what am I missing? Where am I off here, Donnie? Is it just the innings? Is it just the volume that Sanchez is going to have?
It's almost like a twofold. You're right, Craig, because you talk about like the Yankee tax. You would figure the biggest tax in the world would be on Shohei Ohtani.
Agreed.
Yes, you're going to see him in the MVP marketplace. He's probably going to run away with that, and rightfully so. But also, Craig, is there a little bit more to the equation? You expect Sanchez to pitch all the way through, right? You expect Mizorowski, and again, banning injury. But the same thing is like, what do we expect from Shohei Ohtani with all these innings? It's not as if it's like, hey, last 2 years he's had all these innings. It hasn't been the case. Are we looking maybe for Craig that we're seeing maybe a cutoff once we get to late July, August? Don't push him late in games here. Make sure he's fresh for the playoffs. That's the only thing I can think of because as you like, again, it's Shohei Ohtani. Usually the market is driven by Shohei Ohtani, and he's pitched really well. Craig, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, he's a player that it feels like, we've talked about this before, that he wants to win this award. And when he wants something, it feels like he's been getting it throughout his life and his career. And so I think, I mean, I hate to say it, Donnie, but I mean, Sanchez has been so perfect. What would it look like if Sanchez gave up 3 runs and 4 runs in his next 2 starts and Ohtani did not? I mean, all of a sudden, would we be talking about Ohtani as the Cy Young favorite? So I'm still going to be a little bullish on the buy market on Ohtani here, provided that he keeps starting. I think, to take the other side of it, Sanchez consistently going 7-8 innings, Ohtani consistently going 5 or 6. At the end of the season, Sanchez, if healthy, 185 innings pitched, Ohtani 155 innings pitched, you know, and that could end up being the difference there for me. But I got to tell you, this should be a lot closer than it is.
Great pitchers at the top here. And again, it's not like a day-to-day race here where everybody's getting batters and you can switch over home runs. You get pitched once every fifth day. You have a great start, you move up. You have a bad start, you move down. That's just the way it is. Let's flip it over, Craig, to the AL marketplace here on Poly Market. And you say to yourself, like, boy, where are all those big names that we can take a look at? You know who's the leader right now? It's Cam Schlittler of the New York Yankees, currently trading at a 41% chance to get the job done. So my question to you is, like, a lot of times these pitchers that we talk about, Paul Skeens, we know he's probably going to be great. Chris Sale's been great for a long time. Sanchez is a good MO. Cam Schlittler thrust into that spotlight in New York. He's been fantastic. But still, Craig, we're talking about tomorrow is the first month of June, which means June, July, August, and September. That's 4 full months. Do we expect the same greatness out of Cam Schlittler?
I don't think so. I would sell this. Yeah. And again, it's not a Yankee anti-Yankee thing. It's just simply put, he has not done this before, ever. And so in the end, if this is the breakout season and this is the best season for a starting pitcher, fine. But as I illustrated earlier in the show, how in the world can you say that Davis Martin, whose stats are very similar to Cam Schlittler, really similar to Cam Schlittler, be nowhere near his price? All it would require is Schlittler to be average and somebody else to jump over him a little bit. So I am going to sell Schlittler and think that somebody else ends up winning the Cy Young at the end of the season. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he throws 170 innings and this is the true breakout of another ace in Major League Baseball. But call me a little bit skeptical when a guy has never done it, all of a sudden to buy it. So I'll sell.
And if Schlittler can be fantastic and Garrett Cole can be fantastic, that probably means the Yankees are in a great spot to have a legitimate chance to win the 2026 American League pennant, which brings us up to the next equation. Going to the Poly Market action, the New York Yankees, they are listed at a 29% chance to take down the pennant in the American League and advance to the World Series. The Seattle Mariners at 16%, Tampa at 13%. I want to talk about the second place team here, Craig, because midweek, the Mariners started to hit the gas pedal just a little bit, which means first place, second place, top of the standings, because nobody's really good out there in the West. And we're still waiting on that big run for the Mariners to say, you're better than everybody in that division. You have better pitching than everybody in that division. Go out in the field and show it here. But Seattle, still a lot of trust from the public coming in at second place here in the Poly Market odds market here.
Yeah, and their pitching is still good, although Luis Castillo is not having the best year. Interestingly enough, my son had a pitching lesson on Wednesday. Luis Castillo was there before him. That can't be a good sign. What is he doing here in South Florida? I thought he was with the Mariners. But anyway, I digress. I got my bold prediction for you here. I got my bold one here, Donnie. Here it is.
Bring it.
So we had that story that Shohei Ohtani almost went to Tampa Bay, right? For Junior Caminero.
Yes. Correct.
I got Scooble going to Tampa Bay for the second half of the season.
Goodness. Lay it out there. Look, thank goodness Kevin Walsh isn't around to talk about that. His head would explode here. But how about this? You want your head to explode, Craig? Can I sell you on this? 3.1% for a yes contract to buy in. Those Boston Red Sox, Craig. They're going to come back. They're going to get on a run. We're going to buy low. We're going to sell high. Come on. We don't need it. We just need a comeback here, Craig. Give me a little win streak to improve it for us.
They need is there a little Poppy out there somewhere to play? There's not a big Poppy. It's over. It's over. You got Manny wearing a Yankees hat in his TikTok video or so. What's going on there?
Yeah. Outside those Yankees, Craig, Mariners, Rays, Blue Jays, Guardians. Who do you think does have the best shot here to give the Yankees the best run? And who would you take in this Poly Market action?
Still, it would be Tampa Bay or New York for me. I think they're the best two teams in the American League. Seattle hasn't shown me enough, Donnie. I mean, I don't know. I mean, by this point, I want to feel better about them. I have not.
Yeah, don't say that around Tom Vec. You get very upset. That man loves his Mariners at this point. And you see this pen actually broke right here. And broken dreams on those Boston Red Sox at this point right now. 3% currently trading. Can the Athletics pull? Craig, somebody's got to win that West out there. And you might have a 500 record. And it just could be those Athletics. But, hey, we can all dream. But if the New York Yankees get their starting pitching together, which means Garrett Cole is healthy the rest of the way, and Schlittler is a true ace and can possibly win the Cy Young, that's going to be a tough team to knock off at this point right now. Baseball talk, it's hot. Tomorrow is June. Stick with us right here on the SportsGrid Network. We'll be right back.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75 plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Go over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
National League champions here in the predictive markets. Let's go to Polymarket right now. Craig Mish, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hey, no surprise. The leaders right now at a 39% chance to win the pennant. The Atlanta Braves actually have the best record in Major League Baseball at 18%. Then there's the Phillies, the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Padres in that order. Is it just we saw what the Dodgers have done the past few postseasons, Craig? It's like, look, they're going to do it again. Or is there some legitimacy to the Atlanta Braves that, yeah, they are the best team in baseball?
Yeah, Braves are really strong, and I do think that if you go by evidence from a few years ago when they added Soler and they added Adam Duvall and some other players, that you think that Atlanta may add some extra pieces and maybe give the Dodgers a fight. Donnie, I just can't get over the idea that, yes, the Dodgers are going to win close to 100 or 100. Yes, they're probably going to advance very easily to the National League Championship Series. But, Donnie, they almost lost that World Series to Toronto. I can't just sit here and guarantee that the Braves can't beat them in a 7-game series. I'm not going to go that far. So, yeah, I think the Braves are live. Naturally, I think your Phillies are really good and going to play really good baseball in the second half, too. I'm not going to discount them as well. Milwaukee has to be in it, but unfortunately, Donnie, I just don't know that they're built for the postseason. They're going to be really good in the regular season. Without doing much, they're probably going to be who they are. San Diego, okay for me. LA, Atlanta, Philadelphia, in that order.
Let's see that trade deadline when people beef up for that final run with their rosters, which then could culminate in a world championships. Let's go to Polymarket. The Dodgers, yes, look at that in the National League, the favorites. So, of course, you flip it over to the World Series. Craig, also the favorites at a 26% chance to win the championship. The Yankees at 15%, followed by the Braves, Mariners, Brewers, and Rays down at 5% here. I think it is. By the way, when you look at these predictive markets, once again, you don't actually have to win the World Series to become profitable here. The Atlanta Braves, I look at it 9%, Craig, and I say, that's a good team with a great front office. They stay healthy. Why not? Because I doubt the Braves will sit at 9% at the end of the season if they have the best record still in Major League Baseball. The Braves are a buy-on team. I hate the Braves, but they're a buy-on team for me.
They have to be. They're really dominant too. Seeing them play in person. In particular, Donnie, the one, and I know Acuna earlier this week hit a grand slam, but the guy that really has come alive is not Matt Olson. He's been good too. It's Michael Harris, Donnie. This guy is dialing it back to where he was a couple of years ago. It's a very dangerous lineup. The pitching is really good. They have two strong arms in the bullpen now that can get you out, and they got a couple of guys from the left side too. I'm with you here. They don't have to win it all on the prediction markets. All they got to do is get close. You could sell.
CBA, Craig. Boy, we're going to talk about this time and time again. But you know what I like the most about it? Both sides are actually talking. And here's the interesting part. If you looked at May 27th, before we actually started some serious negotiations going back and forth, we were at 46%. You take a look at the salary cap implications that the owners want to put in, promptly drops to 41% because earlier this week, Craig, the Major League Baseball Players Union is like, you try that, you lost the season before, you'll lose another one here if you put that in. We are going to have a battle, but I got to tell you, Craig, I like them speaking here in basically the month of June.
Yeah, I would tell you that I think there's no chance that this happens by December the 1st. But this, Donnie, to me, is the ultimate buy low. Because right now you have proposals going back and forth, extremely negative discussions. And who's to say, Donnie, that by the time we get to October that this isn't close? Maybe it doesn't get done in November. Maybe it is January. But you're about to get the best pricing, I think, on the CBA right now. Like this is going to be it in the next 24, 48 hours. This is probably going to dip below 40%, maybe even lower. I guarantee you as time goes by, this goes up. It's a buy for me.
But, and Craig, we look at like the fight and the argument. The players want to make as much as they can. That's what the union is for at this point. Hey, keep on raising those salaries. Do we get to a point, though, where it's like, hey, man, that's a huge cap, but also a floor where we're going to have the average payroll for our players go way higher with a cap in place because it's the floor? Or is it just, Craig, they're so hard-headed, it doesn't even matter. We will never accept a salary cap. Can we actually accept a salary cap?
You know, unfortunately, the players' union proposal looks like it benefits more of the teams at the top than it does at the bottom. It's almost just like forcing the bottom and then giving more to the Dodgers again here and saying, okay, Dodgers, you get more, and then you give less to the teams at the bottom because they're not doing anything. It doesn't make any sense to me. I do think in the end you'll have a salary cap that would be agreeable is going to be closer to 300 than what it is now. That would be what I would guess. But that being said, I think it has to happen. I don't see any other way around it. A 170 floor tells me that every team is going to be heavily involved in free agency. That first 24 hours of free agency is just going to be just like the NFL and just like the NBA. Maybe I'm just wrong and missing everything, but I feel like we're headed there.
But how about this, Craig, though? The Phillies, technically, if this salary cap goes in, would be $40 million over. What does that mean for us trying to get Mike Trout? We can't fit Mike Trout in with the salary cap. That's supposed to be a little bit lower. It always gets back to Trout and the Phillies, but that's how we get down and have some fun here on a Sunday. Pro Baseball Today. He's Craig Mish. I'm Donnie Rightside. Enjoy your week. We'll catch you again right here on the SportsGrid Network.